Here's a long list of all the absolutely sketchy details about the Maui fires that you shouldn't ignore. And to anyone telling people like me we're somehow hurting the victims of these fires by pointing out how hard the authorities have dropped the ball, or may have even allowed this catastrophe to happen, you're brainwashed. I'm sorry, but you've been programmed to immediately negatively respond to anything that goes against the accepted media narrative. Because this is already seeming like a hard push to get people out of their homes and off their land so that someone else can come in and take it by force. And if that's what's happening, we need to figure it out and stand together, and that's not going to happen if y'all are out here telling us we're hurting people by consolidating information and sharing it with our audiences. Now, before I get started, if you want to help, you can donate to hungryheroeshawaii.com. As far as I know, they're a legitimate local team that is providing aid. First and foremost, the people of Lahaina desperately need shelter, food, water, medicine, and all kinds of supplies, and they're not getting them. And America should be all over this. We're sending billions of dollars every day all over the world to other countries. Now we have an American territory where people are actually in danger of starving after this catastrophe. What is going on? People on the ground right now in Lahaina are reporting that the roads that people would be using to bring supplies in are closed and they're not letting people in. People have also reported that the supplies they're trying to bring into Lahaina are being confiscated by the authorities and then they're being turned away. It's now being reported that people are having so much trouble getting supplies to those that need them that they're actually going around authorities and delivering them by boat. Both Oprah and Jeff Bezos have been buying hundreds of acres of Maui land over the last couple years, but have been turned down by multiple landowners. Fortunately, it seems as though their properties somehow remain untouched during the fires, so we'll see what happens. On that note, some footage is surfacing showing many of the luxury beachfront most valuable properties remaining untouched while everything else had burned around them. Are fire circles naturally occurring? Is this normal? In a bizarre coincidence, Maui Police Chief John Pelletier was also the police chief in Vegas during the deadliest mass shooting in U.S. history. So I guess now we can pretty much guarantee that we'll never have any details about what actually happened. And now many people are pointing out how Maui had actually the largest outdoor alarm system in the world with over 400 alarms and 80 sirens, none of which were ever sounded during the 3.5+ hours that the fires were raging. In January, Maui held a Smart City conference to talk about making the entire island completely dependent on electric, solar, and renewable energy, something that a lot of the home and landowners wanted nothing to do with. And this September, the government will be holding a digital government summit in Maui, discussing the possibilities of AI's role in governing the island. Interesting that right before this next AI government smart city conference, thousands of people that may have stood against this new dystopian technology had their houses and everything they owned completely destroyed. Not to mention, a lot of the actual people are dead too. It's now also been confirmed that the police are arresting people for walking around in the wrong places on the island. An idea that seems a little insane considering that every single person on that island pretty much just lost their homes and are completely displaced. The police chief is urging the media not to cover that story and instead dox the people who have been arrested and cover that story instead. A now deleted viral post on the Maui subreddit claims that not a single fire truck responded to any of the fires, and again reported that none of the alarms were ever set off. Alarms and sirens that could have saved dozens if not hundreds of lives. It also detailed that many school children were home because school had been canceled, although parents were still at work, so this led to an extremely scary situation where a lot of kids were in houses that burned down. The post also detailed that the death toll is most likely much higher than is currently being reported. This post was most likely deleted off the Maui subreddit because it asked the question, did the emergency services fail or were they told to stand down? Because it seems intentional. The New York Times reported that a man named Ross Hart was fighting the Maui fire at his home alongside his neighbors when suddenly the water was turned off. We did everything we could, but in the end, what could possibly be the reason behind shutting off the water supply to the island? It's not a supply issue, it's an island. Governor Josh Green quoted as saying, "It does appear like a bomb and fire went off." What does that mean? And now reports are coming in that FEMA and the Red Cross are hoarding supplies and turning people away when they come to retrieve them. According to Dr. Kathy J. Forty, before anything happened at all the power went out all over the city, including the emergency backups, which isn't supposed to be possible. Once again, according to her account of events, this was well before any of the hurricane winds hit the island. And now witnesses, including this man locally known as Fish, are claiming that they saw police barricades blocking drivers from leaving the island, leading to more deaths. This is just a small sample of all the information that's coming out from the people that are there in Lahaina on the ground responding to this tragedy. Once again, if you want to help, donate to Hungry Heroes Hawaii, but please look into anyone that you donate to before you donate it, because of course there's a lot of scammers out there that's taking up funds and resources away from the people that need help.
Have y'all seen this video yet? Like, what? Watch this.
For the Maui, Hawaii fires, and many more things that are going on behind the scenes that will leave you either raising your eyebrow or pointing your finger. Be sure to watch until the very end to see some things you certainly will not want to miss.
And at some point, I will make a major donation after all of the smoke and ashes have settled here and we figure out what the rebuilding is going to look like. This is going to be a long and difficult process.
Oprah has been one of the top trending topics on Twitter this week, and we're looking into why that is. Let's start off with Matt Wallace's viral tweet that said, Oprah Winfrey has been buying up land in Maui like crazy. A 520-acre plot for $3.89 million this year, 330 acres for $2.47 million, two 10-acre swaths of land for $100,000 each last year. In the last few years, she has gone from about 100 acres of land in Maui to over 1,000 acres. Then, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a fire comes and destroys many homes near her, but her land remains untouched. Sound familiar? In 2017, an extremely deadly fire destroyed many homes near Oprah's Montecito mansion, but her property remained untouched. After 2017, Oprah continued expanding her land in Montecito to over 70 acres, including buying a 4-acre complex in 2019 that was destroyed by mudslides only a few weeks after that 2017 fire. Wake up! Oprah's CBS media crew was denied entry into a Hawaiian wildfire shelter. However, someone inside captured footage of Oprah handing out supplies for displaced Maui residents.
Question for you. If I needed to find somebody, how would I do
that? Now, Wallace also tweeted, locals in Maui were refusing to sell their land to the elites. The part of the island mainly destroyed by the fires was prime area right next to lavish mega mansions. Now, a lot of those locals are forced to sell their land, and many tragically died in the flames. Oprah Winfrey has a luxury mansion in Maui. It's completely fine. Jeff Bezos has a luxury mansion in Maui. It's completely fine. Lady Gaga has a luxury mansion in Maui. It's completely fine. Bill Gates has a luxury mansion in Maui. It's completely fine. Morgan Freeman has a luxury mansion in Maui. It's completely fine. Will Smith has a luxury mansion in Maui. It's completely fine. Julia Roberts has a luxury mansion in Maui. It's completely fine. How did the fire know to avoid the most expensive mansions?
I don't know, y'all. This kind of crazy.
Before I start this video, I need to remind you that this is a conspiracy theory of what happened at Maui. All right. And I'm going to ask you to please save this video, because a lot of people that's posted videos about Maui have had their videos removed. And I think there's a lot of things you need to see in here. Now, to start off, we need to time travel a little bit back in time to January 28th. And I think a lot of you will remember January 28th because that's the day the spy balloon was going over the United States. What a lot of people don't realize, though, is that on the same day, the University of Hawaii released this photo of green lasers going from space onto Hawaii. Believe it or not, this was all over the news. You just don't remember it because of the whole spy balloon going on. Now, China did later comment about the lasers, stating that they were measuring for pollutants and geography and all that. But this former Marine actually had a pretty good thing to say about it, is that why would the Chinese be measuring for pollutants when they're the biggest polluters on Earth? So I did a little research, and online you can actually see where satellites were in the past. So I put in the exact time those lasers were there on January 28th, and the satellite was right over Hawaii. Now, unless you've been living under a rock, you've seen this video on TikTok where it shows all the different colors and the colors that the lasers actually burn, okay? Keep this in your mind, that the blue did not get burned. And also keep this in your mind, right on a Chinese website, blue tin roofs spring up in China, all over. Wonder why. Now, I know you've already seen these photos too. This is one of the photos of the blue cloth that did not get burned, even though the fire went right through there. And to be honest, the photos go on and on. I mean, guys, even cars, blue cars, did not get burned. There's another over there. Now this entire building went down and everything near it. Blue umbrella stood. Now this even goes deeper, okay? You see all this aluminum that was melted from these cars? Do you guys realize how hot it's got to be to melt aluminum? 1,221 degrees. But something is a little strange here, okay? Okay, so I want you to look at all the roads, all right? You notice how they're just fine? They're not all melted. They're not all bad. It's kind of strange because the melting point of asphalt is 343 degrees Fahrenheit. So naturally, I dug a little bit deeper. And online, you can actually get a list of the times of when the fire started, where they're at, and all that in Maui. And the crazy part is, every single big event that happened during that time, the satellite happened to be pretty close. So here's my recommendation. Take this video however you want to. Do your own research. Look at where the satellites were during these major events. I looked at probably 15 different spots in time where the big events were happening during the fire, and every time the satellite was nearby. Don't believe everything the government has told you, because they've lied to you so many times in the past, including a lot recently, including the whole pipeline that blew up that happened to be owned by Russia, and then the United States blamed it on Russia, saying the Russians blew it up. Why would they blow up their own pipeline? Well, we found out about a year later that Biden ordered that pipeline to be blown up. And then the whole aliens thing and everything else. Take it as you will. Let me know what you think. Put it in the comments. Save this video.